the Titans, the division is ours. I don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
Everybody catches.
I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. It's Kush. I love me too much and your brain turn to mush. Fall flat on your tush. You couldn't handle the product I push. I guess I'm just used to it, I just do it. Like Nike swoosh, none of that Reggie Bush. Cause I'm top shelf, I ain't got wealth. But I'm on my grind like park rails. I'd sell the shoes right off my 2 feet, then add one, that's a yard sale. Got dumb bars that be smarter than Harvard, Yale. Take your pictures elsewhere, you wanna be TMZ, I wanna be VIP. Quit pandering, I'm not answering cause I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. All of that bark and no bite, that's alright. Not everyone can be the big dog. Take a walk, kick rocks, can't keep me out cause I pick locks. They hearing me knocking, I'll never be stopping. I keep this shit popping like lip gloss. Get me pissed off and the whole squad point the red dots. Something like chicken pox, give me all what you got like it raw, shimmy y'all. Feeling like Tony Hawk, never stop, let it rock, better not get involved. Running a marathon and you a tourist. This my world, you a tourist. Fuck with the bullet, you get in the horns, I'm a tourist. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop.
Your mic is muted.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Titans Fan Battle podcast, brought to you as always by the Fan Battle Sports Network. And remember, like, follow, share, comment, subscribe, and join us over on fanbattlesports.com for all the latest news, blog posts, articles, opinions on all your favorite teams. So I'm here again with my co-host Tyler, and you want to say what's up to everyone?
Hey everyone, I'm back and in high quality demand.
Unfortunately, the Titans aren't this week, but before we get started with all the bad news of the state of the team, we'll start it off with something positive. Wanted to say thank you to everyone over on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. We surpassed 400 followers this week, so we appreciate that on the road to 500. So if you're listening and you ain't following yet, go over there and click the follow button, help us out. But without further ado, we'll get into the bad news of it all. So I think first and foremost, we got to address there's no longer any playoff hopes for the team, which this is the first time ever that Vrabel will be the head coach and we don't have playoff hopes. So it's over 100 games that he's coached for us, and we've either been in the playoffs or had hopes of getting to the playoffs in every one until this Sunday. So you think anything changes as far as his game planning, if he tries anything different, or if it's just business as usual, get us to the off season?
Personally, I think it'll be business as usual. I don't think he'll admit to tanking. I would like to think that he has the ethics to not do that. But I don't foresee him being the coach of this team after this season.
You don't think so?
Well, when you and I had spoke a couple weeks ago, you said that if the Titans got at least 6 wins, that you thought that would guarantee him that. I don't think we get to 6 wins. with how we played last Sunday, I don't think we get to 6 wins.
Yeah, and I know a lot of fans are really started calling for his head now on Twitter and on social media, and they have been on and off all season. So I don't think that his seat's ice cold like it has been in the past, but I don't think there's a fire under there yet. I think that they'll still let him and Rand try to rebuild this team with $100 million in cap space. And I think next year is the hot seat for him. I think we've got to win at least 10 games and maybe win a playoff game, or else his seat's going to start getting warm.
Well, part of the reason that I kind of want him to be gone is he's a defensive coach, and there's a couple of reasons I should preface why I think that we need to move on from him. Number one, he's a defensive-minded head coach. That secondary has struggled for how many years? 3 years?
Oh, yeah.
We've not been able to. What'd you say?
Ever since Dean Pease left as our defensive coordinator, that secondary struggled.
Yeah. So there's that. We'll have a quarterback who'll be going into a second season last year, who we are all presuming will be the quarterback for the next couple of years. Vrabel has really struggled to develop any sort of offensive players since he's been on the team. And with the young quarterbacks that are in this division, we're gonna need that offensive firepower. Definitely need the defensive part, but that offensive firepower we need. So I don't think we get 6 wins, and I think with Amy firing JR last December, I think that she's ready for some playoff wins, and I think he'll be gone.
And so that kind of foreshadows my next question. I was going to ask, how much confidence do you have in the offensive and defensive coordinators, and do you think that they make it to 2024? But if Vrabel's gone, his coaching staff's going with him, I would assume.
The defensive coordinator, I don't think is as bad. He can only do as much. He can only do so much with the players that he has. With Caleb Farley coming back and practicing, which he's contributed little to nothing. Offensively, I mean, some of the play calls this past weekend were questionable. Obviously, we have a rookie, and he's going to make mistakes. He did miss a wide open Traylon Burks that could have gotten us a first down and some additional yardage. But we can't always rely on that defense, and we very much relied on that defense this past weekend. I would, at the very least, that offensive coordinator needs to go.
Yeah, I agree. Shane Bowen, I feel like he's a good defensive coordinator. He's just never given us any production from the secondary, but we've also never given him a secondary to produce with. We've asked him to go with Farley and Fulton, and we just never put anyone solid back there for him. The Jackrabbit last year, which was way past his prime.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the secondary we give him, he holds teams to 19 points, 20 points week in and week out. Like, that's been his average the whole time he's been here. So if our offense could score 21 points, we'd be almost unbeatable, and we can't pass 13.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, we went 2 weeks in a row of going into overtime, and I mean that the game against the Texans, even the game against the Colts, both of those games should have been W's. In my opinion, had we had an average, let's say average offensive line, those are two right there. And an average offensive line gives us a higher probability to beat the Colts and a much higher probability to beat the Texans. And right there, that gives us 2 wins. So we would be what, 7-7.
Yeah. We'd be a game out of the division right now.
Yeah.
So if Vrabel is gone, who do you want them to bring in for 2024?
I funny that you asked that. I've been doing some research. I would really, really, really like the offensive coordinator from Miami. He's been doing some wonders there.
Yeah, you can't argue with him. Someone that I know every time the off season's rolling around, the first name on Titans fans' tongues is Eric Bieniemy every year. So they've been wanting him for 3 or 4 years now. But someone else I would give a look to is the Eagles offensive coordinator. I mean, we've given them so many gifts in the trade game. They owe us one back here.
Yeah, I mean, I would personally like Shane Steichen, who's currently the head coach for the Colts. I don't think the Eagles offensive coordinator gets a job. I think he's in his first year. I don't think he would get a job. Bless me.
But let's go on to the game that was. Where do you think it all fell apart? Because it started off hot. We went right down the field, 84 yards, turned around with the pick 6, and it's like just a slow falling apart after that, just slowly giving the game back to them.
Well, I think what DeMeco Ryans did, and I think DeMeco Ryans should win head coach of the year, number 1.
Yeah, I do too.
You have to give credit where credit is due. That man has turned around that franchise. I mean, he's taken a franchise that's had a top 5 pick the past couple of years and really made them a contender. So go him. I really, really hope he gets the head coach of the year award. I think what he did specifically was, I think they played more aggressively on the defensive line. And that is what won them the game. I mean, you have Derrick Henry that had he had less than 10 yards on the ground. I mean, the amount of sacks that we gave up, I mean, they just really relied heavily on being aggressive on that defensive line. And once they started playing more aggressively on the defensive line, that's when they started to become more competitive in that game. And that just all boils down to the fact that our offensive line is not good. I would say if it's not the worst ranked, it is, in my opinion, it is the worst offensive line in the entire National Football League. In my opinion, all of those people that are currently on the offensive line, that are currently starters, they should all be fired except for Peter Skoronski. They should all be let go, and they should not come back.
Yeah. If I was redoing the offensive line, I would keep Skoronski and I would keep the right guard, Brunskill.
Mm-hmm.
He's allowed, I think, 1 sack and has 2 penalties on the year. So he's had a solid year. But, I mean, Brewer at center, he's 35, 40 pounds undersized, getting pushed backwards. And I don't think anyone's going to argue that none of the tackles we've started this year are up to par. I think you might be able to keep NPF next year, but not as a starter. Like, he's a depth player at best.
Yeah. Agreed.
And we talked about it at the end of the first quarter that Burks had 2 catches for over 50 yards and that they need to keep going to him until the Texans take him away. He didn't get another look until the fourth quarter. He got 1 more target in the entire game. It was the middle of the fourth quarter. And in between the end of the first quarter and his next target, Hopkins was targeted 8 times for 2 receptions and 1 interception. It's like, why they got stubborn and decided we're going to throw it into double coverage to Hopkins and ignore Burks for the rest of the game. I feel like that really gave the game away, because you have Henry running into a brick wall and Levis thrown into double coverage all game after that.
So I hear your point. I think part of that is how many games has Traylon Burks played this season with Will Levis? Not many. How many games has Traylon Burks started with Will Levis and finished? Not many. And so the chemistry between Burks and Levis is not there. But if Traylon Burks is playing, which he had a good first quarter, I don't think anyone can deny that. In my opinion, you keep throwing the ball to people who are playing well. If I agree with you, if Traylon Burks got 2 catches for over 50 yards in the first quarter, why would we not keep throwing the ball to him? I think part of it is Will Levis has that chemistry with D-Hop, and that's his go-to, that's his fallback plan. I think if he gets a little bit flustered, which he did against the Texans, he wanted to throw the ball to D-Hop because D-Hop is a weapon and is really good about, fighting for that extra yards, things like that. But I think that's just going to come with time, number one. Building that chemistry, number 2, and number 3, get a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't. If Vrabel stays, I think Kelly stays as well, because that's his personal friend, and I don't think he's going to fire him after one season. It's going to take. Yeah. I think it's going to take Vrabel getting fired to get Tim Kelly fired, really, because they're too close of friends personally.
Yeah.
You touched on Henry's production. He ended up with 16 carries for 9 yards and 4 catches for 1 yard. So 20 touches for 10 yards, which set the NFL record for the least yards gained on 20-plus touches in a game. So do you think this is going to be the end of the Henry era for the Titans, or do you think he comes back next year?
As a fan, I want him to come back undeniably. I mean, he's the franchise leader in touchdowns. If he's not the franchise leader in rushing yards, I think he's relatively close to it.
Second, yep.
So as a fan, I definitely want him back. As a realist, I think he has at least one more year. I think that D-Hop is going to try to get him to come back. I think the offensive players are there and some of the coaches are there that are going to really try to get him to come back. I think at the very least, I think that we franchise tag him. But also, in order to get Tyjae Spears to develop, I think he needs Derrick Henry there to kind of help him, because Derrick Henry got 2 years of being under DeMarco Murray to develop to help him get to the level that he was at. I don't think it's the end of the era. We have so much money in cap space. I think we would be dumb to let Derrick Henry walk in free agency and not try to give us the best chance that we have. Because bringing Derrick Henry back just gives Will Levis, another option to give the ball to spread the wealth. But if I were in Derrick Henry's shoes, I would tell Rand, I'm not coming back until I know I'm not agreeing to come back until I know for a fact that I have an offensive line that's going to help me run the ball.
Yeah, from Henry's perspective, I agree. Like, I wouldn't want to, if he knows it's going to be his last year, maybe 2 years left if he wants to come back again, like, you want to be protected in those years and have a chance to produce. And I thought that he would be back because he is second in franchise history in rushing behind Eddie George. And so I thought he would come back and get that record. He's only going to need 650 or so yards next year to get the record.
Mm-hmm.
Until the post-game press conference on Sunday. when he was basically saying his goodbyes, he was talking about how bitter it is of an end that he didn't foresee it ending this way, and basically hinting at goodbyes at the end of that game. So that made me feel like he may not be wanting to be a Titan in 2024, or either he doesn't feel like they would want him back.
So I think it was just a bittersweet moment because this was the first time in his career where we were officially out of playoff contention. I mean, look at all the drama that was happening in the early offseason with Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor was not expecting to come back to Indy. All the tabloids said that he wasn't coming back, and then the Colts offered him a 3-year, $40+ million contract. I mean, anything can happen. I think that Derek wants to go to a serious contender, and there's very slim pickings of people that I think next year he can go to that are gonna say, we are definitely fighting for a Super Bowl. I think that that's ultimately what he wants, is that Super Bowl ring, and I think we can maybe get there with Rand, but I think we're a good 2-3 seasons away from really being in that Super Bowl bubble of a chance.
Yeah, and I think one of the major things, even though we have a lot of cap space, with Spears, I think he takes a much larger role next year.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry this year is making $16.4 million against the cap. And so if we're giving Spears a larger role, then he would be expected to take a pay cut. And this offseason, he was the spearhead demanding higher pay for running backs. So is he going to be able to cut, will he feel all right cutting his money in half after that campaign this offseason?
Well, I mean, he's top 5 in rushing yards, I believe, still.
Yeah.
And he's got 10
number 6 now.
He's number 6? Okay. So he's still in top 10. Yep. He was in the top 5 for a majority of time. He was number 2 for quite a bit of time. And he has 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. So, and this, mind you, this is all with a bad offensive line. Yep. So, in my opinion, I do think he is worth it. I would continue to pay him the money. In my opinion, I would keep paying Derrick Henry the money until you don't fix what's not broken. Our offensive line is broken, but Derrick Henry has been one of the very few constants of this team. Derrick Henry is the person that we used to be able to win games solely based upon his production. And I think we still can, but we have to understand that Derrick Henry's getting up there in age. He's going to start slowing down, and he needs other people on the team. He can't be the sole and only reason that we win.
Yeah, he used to be able to get 2 or 3 stiff arms and be his own blocker downfield. Now you might get 1 stiff arm out of him, but you got to help him out a little bit.
Yeah. He really needs. I mean, the addition of D-Hop has been phenomenal for us, but we need some offensive lineman help, and I think we need another really good wide receiver or 2 on the roster.
And keeping with the Henry theme, moving on to Sunday, you think he can hit 1,000 yards this week? He's 116 away.
No. Not with Bobby Wagner on the field.
Yeah, point taken there.
Not with one of the greatest linebackers in the past 20 years playing on the field.
Yeah, they are one of the worst rush defenses. They allow 127 per game and 4.5 per attempt. But I think that the Titans, I think we'll keep him around that 12 to 15 carry range, and that'll keep him around 60 to 70 yards, even against a bad defense. Because, I mean, why put unnecessary tread on his tires whenever you don't have a chance at the playoffs? Like, let him save a little bit in the tank.
Well, if Ryan Tannehill starts this weekend, he'll have more than 12 to 15 carries.
Yeah. Which is another topic I had on key here, like who starts at quarterback. The Levis is injured. Would you rather Ryan Tannehill, or do you think they should see what Malik Willis has developed into?
Funny question. So I remember being at the Titans and Falcons game this fall, and I seen the fan reception that Malik Willis got after he fumbled the ball on the first play he had. So I don't think it should be Malik Willis. I mean, I think we all know it's basically a done deal that Ryan Tannehill's gone. I think the best way that we can give Ryan Tannehill a goodbye is let him go out there, do what he needs to do to show other teams that either he is a franchise quarterback still, or he's not. I mean, we're paying him buku amounts of money. Go out there and prove to us that you can win us some games with this roster.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm always of the opinion that you got Levis. If he's capable of going, then he should go, because he's not going to develop sitting on the bench. But if he's not capable of going, I like, Ryan Tannehill's done a lot for the team, took us to an AFC championship. And the way that over the last 12 months that, his narrative has been with the interceptions, with everything that's gone wrong, the injuries, give him a chance to, if Levis ain't going, give him a chance to go out there and get a proper send-off in front of the home fans.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And one other thing that I was wanting to ask, should the Titans prioritize getting that win, or do you think they treat this as 3 preseason games and kind of see what the bottom of the roster looks like and who can make the team in 2024?
I would. I mean, you're not getting anything else. You're not getting anything out of this. I mean, I definitely don't want Ryan Tannehill to go out there and get absolutely murdered by the Seahawks. But we need to have a very serious moment with this roster, with this locker room, see what we need to do, what players we need to bring in, what players need to be cut. If people don't want to be a part of this roster anymore and they want to get cut and then go talk crap like T.R. Tart and some of the other players, then we don't have a spot. We don't have a spot for you. It's time for you to go.
Yeah, I agree. And no matter who's on the field, I think the players are going to prioritize the win, because guys like Phillips and Moore and Aziz and Autry, these guys are on 1-year contracts basically. And so they're out there trying to earn their next deal. And whether or not they're going to stay with the Titans or not, they still want that next contract. And if you got Henry on the sidelines, then, Spears is trying to show that in 2024 he should have that bigger role and kind of unseat Henry. So they're always going to try to win. But the coaches, I think that they should put some guys in that haven't played a lot, especially if we're losing the game in the second half. See what you got on some of these guys, because these are going to be bubble guys in the preseason next year, so get a head start on your homework.
Fair.
But all of that said, what do you think happens this game? Win, lose? Any score predictions?
Will Levis plays, we have a shot. If Geno Smith plays, that also is a huge factor. But I watched Drew Lock go out there and beat the Philadelphia Eagles this past Monday night. Either way, based upon how this team is playing, how the Seahawks are playing, I'm going to say Seahawks 31-17.
Yeah, I'm of that same mindset. I think that if Levis plays, then we got a chance to win like a 27-24 type game. But if Levis ain't playing, I think that Henry is in limited capacity. And I think that we probably lose this one around that same score, maybe like a 31-21, something like that.
Okay.
And just this just popped up on my feed over here on my other screen. It says that Eagles fans after Monday night's loss are asking for Frank Wright to return as offensive coordinator. They're already wanting to fire their offensive coordinator. So if he gets fired, then I would 100% be in favor of firing Tim Kelly, even if Vrabel stays and get him.
I mean,
in.
they did fire their defensive coordinator midseason, so not even midseason; it's late season.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vrabel's not going to do it though.
Nah, he has too many friends on the roster. He don't fire. I mean, we saw Todd Downing, as bad as he was, and with the DUI midweek, then he still wasn't firing until after the season ended. So
yeah,
I think that'll wrap us up for this week. And thanks again, everyone joining us. And don't forget, follow and subscribe, like us, share us, fanbattlesports.com, and grab you some mayo. Enjoy with the game on Sunday. So.
Have a good one, guys.